Did anyone else pick this game up out of sheer curiosity? Because I did. I had no clue what this game was going to be like. Why a game called World War Z was even releasing in 2019. I was curious. But I won't lie, I had really low expectations. Honestly, I had a feeling it might be like Umbrella Corps, which is never a good thing. And because of this, when I bought the game, I did feel that buyer's remorse. Like, what am I doing with my time? So I was as surprised as anyone that I actually had a lot of fun in World War Z. So what exactly is World War Z? And as I'm sure you've heard over and over at this point, it's a third-person version of Left 4 Dead. It's just what it is. Which, since there is only 2 games in that series, I'm okay with someone else picking up the gameplay style, since Valve just never makes a third game in its series ever. But World War Z does feel like the devs were making a pizza, with the base being Left 4 Dead and its gameplay style, the sauce being Dead Rising and its just massive amounts of zombies, and the toppings being the Killing Floor 2 with its classes and perks adding to the replayability. Yes, I'm a little hungry and apologize for the food analogy. But it really feels like the devs didn't want to just make a Left 4 Dead clone, because the inclusions and variations on the formula here are something that if Left 4 Dead 3 ever comes out and doesn't have, I'd be really surprised. So enough comparing the game to other games, because honestly you could keep going. But I'd like to talk about what I really enjoyed about the game before I talk about its big drawback. So what makes World War Z so much fun? It's the zombies. The zombie horde is just something that is so massive, so intense. I mean, even though the mission objectives in the story are very similar, set up defenses and prepare for the horde, usually finishing most levels, it still is a lot of fun to just annihilate swarms of enemies. The weapons do feel satisfying to use because they can punch through packs of zombies. Grenades do feel like they should do more damage. This just isn't as satisfying as it should be. This does not mean the zombies are a breeze, especially once you start upping the difficulties, adding in multiple special zombies, making sure you're keeping on top of zombie pyramids. There is a lot of strategy that can be involved in moment-to-moment gameplay, making you adjust on the fly depending on what is going on around you. Now yes, the story will only take you roughly about 4 hours to beat. And look, the story itself is just not very good. You play as a different group of survivors each episode with a new location, but they don't really amount to anything. They sort of just end. I do think the story being a little longer to flesh these scenarios out would have helped. I also think of this moment here.
They've stopped coming. Hold it. No one gets through without being checked. We're fine. Look at us.
I mean, the story just isn't really a focus at all. And yes, the actual level design can be quite repetitive. I just don't know what to tell you. The gameplay loop itself is just a good time. I really enjoyed leveling up my classes and weapons. It adds to the replay value when you are playing the same 11 levels over and over again. And you pick up different weapons to level them up, get upgraded guns, level up your classes, choosing a class to both benefit you and your team. Really, the game's value proposition is based on how much you want to replay these levels and keep progressing your classes and weapons. It's why I love the Killing Floor 2, and now it's why I had a lot of fun replaying World War Z. But to my surprise, we actually also have a multiplayer mode, which from the menu didn't really excite me all that much. I mean, just look at it. But again, I was wrong. I had a lot of fun here as well. These are your basic modes like Domination, Capture the Flag and Team Deathmatch, along with some more unique modes like Vaccine Hunt and Scavenge Raid. The real twist on these standard modes is you still have to worry about these massive swarms that come in regularly through the match. Which, when you have to worry about objectives, enemy players, and watching out for swarms pouring in, you get a really intense and surprisingly fun experience. Just having that added extra thing to think about, especially once you are at the objective, fighting an enemy, and a swarm comes in, you may win the battle against the other player, but you'll have a rough time surviving the zombie swarm afterwards. I mean, I had games where I didn't die to other players, just zombies. And while the modes I mentioned before are stock standard for multiplayer, Vaccine Hunt and Scavenge Raid are probably my favourites. Scavenge really reminded me of The Last of Us, where you scavenge, obviously, supplies around the map, kill enemies and take their supplies. It was a blast, especially in close games where one kill can put your team back in front, or maybe just win the game. Vaccine Hunt I had the most fun with, playing against players who hadn't played before. Because when you pick up the vaccine, you need to keep it for 60 seconds, but it makes you visible to everyone. So obviously, if a new player picks it up, it's just fun to go get them whilst they're camping in a corner. What can I say? Yet again you have classes, but this time with set loadouts. I stuck with my support class just to get some explosive rounds for my AK mostly, and yet again leveling up unlocks more skills. Look, this whole game, as I said, relies on you wanting to come back, and the multiplayer certainly does that for me. I was really surprised as to how much fun I had here. Unfortunately, it's time to get into the problem that for me is hindering my want and urge to keep playing. The network issues are a serious problem. You may have noticed it in the gameplay so far, but you'll either get disconnected as you're loading in, or if you do get allowed into the game, it just can look like this, which really can kill the fun factor. This is in both the campaign and the multiplayer. This is because 1, the game doesn't have peer-to-peer, which is something you don't want for multiplayer, but is fine for co-op campaign. Nor does the game have oceanic servers. Look, I know this is not something that affects everyone, hence why you are seeing all these high review scores, which I get it. If the game launched with the oceanic servers, I'd be in the same boat. Unfortunately, the game didn't, and the devs don't really seem to care about it. Because of these network issues, I had to play the game solo, because not only does the game have poor networking here, but it doesn't even have private sessions in the campaign. Quick side note, as I'm editing this video, the devs said it's coming, but it's still a valid argument right now. I can't just play with a mate or two without needing someone filling the 4th spot, affecting the connection, and bam, disconnected. As much as I enjoyed playing the game, I don't really want to keep replaying the game solo. It's just not enjoyable. I mean, the AI isn't god awful, but they aren't great either. I had so much fun with World War Z. I can see a lot of potential. I can see how other games in the genre may look at this game and learn from it. I can see why the review scores are so high, and again, I know this is not an issue that will affect everyone, but I can only comment on my own experiences. And unfortunately, I'm done with the game for now. I'd gladly pick it back up with the addition of some local servers or peer-to-peer connection, but if like myself you are in the Oceanic region, I can only say wait for a sale, maybe even skip it until they add these features. If they add these features soon, I can recommend this game at full price, but until then, a sale is your best bet if you still want to play the game, which is a real shame because World War Z is a good game, just with a big problem. Thank you so much for watching. I wish I could have been another positive voice for this game, as I really did enjoy it. But the network problems hamper that replay value so much for me, and as I said, that is where the real value of the game comes from. But if you enjoyed the video, leave it a like, comment below your thoughts on World War Z below if you've played it, Subscribe if you're new, I do videos on the regular. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter for gaming pickups, my thoughts on games as I play them, and for polls on what videos you want to see next. Yes, I know Borderlands won the last poll. I shouldn't have included World War Z in that. That was more for my next big video, like retrospectively. And Borderlands beat out Souls, so Borderlands is now in the works. So go and give me a follow at MayorHairBear. I hope you guys are all having a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.